Hello friends, welcome to Anatomy of Literature. Today we shall know about Henrik Ibsen's play A Doll's House. Henrik Ibsen was an Norwegian playwright. Ibsen wrote this play in 1879. His other notable plays include Ghosts, An Enemy of the People, The Wild Duck, and The Hedda Gabler. Now, the main characters of the play are first of all Nora, then her husband Torvald, Neil Krogstad, Dr. Rank, and Mrs. Linde. Krogstad and Mrs. Linde are the old acquaintance of Nora, and Dr. Rank is a regular visitor of Torvald. Now, what do we see in the very first scene of the Act 1? We see that Nora, she has returned from her shopping for the Christmas evening. She has done a lot of shopping. She has bought many things for her children, for herself, and for Torvald as well. And because of her nature of spending money, that her husband calls her a spendthrift. He also accuses her that it is in her blood to spend a lot of money on useless things. But immediately after that, he addresses Nora in a very authoritative and also affectionate tone, calling her his skylark and his squirrel. So, this is how he tries to control Nora by at the same time being affectionate and being authoritative. Dr. Rank is a family friend who regularly visits Nora's house and is an old acquaintance of Torvald. Mrs. Linde, who is an old acquaintance of Nora, her school days friend. Mrs. Linde shares her predicament with Nora, that she is now left over with no one because she has lost her husband and she has neither any children. Her mother has also died, her brothers are grown up, so there is no one with whom she can live now, and therefore she has come to Nora in search of a job that can help her financially to survive. And Nora assures Mrs. Linde that she will definitely find her a job by requesting to Torvald. Now, as their conversation proceeds, Nora shares with Mrs. Linden how she was in a great trouble when Torvald fell seriously ill, and Torvald's doctor suggested Nora to take him to the south, that is in Italy, for his recovery. And for that matter, she was in need of a lot of money, and how she forged her father's signature in order to borrow money from Neil Krogstad, who was able to give her a loan. But the loan was taken by this forgery false signature of her father. And incident, this event is unknown to Torvald. And Nora does not want to tell these things to Torvald, but she is trying to work hard and earn money as much as possible so that she can herself pay the loan she owes to Neil Krogstad. Now, Mrs. Linde suggests Nora that she should tell all about this to her husband Torvald, but Nora thinks that it would hurt his masculinity. It would hurt him to know that her wife owes to someone. That is why Nora does not want to tell it to her husband. At this moment, when they are conversing with each other, Neil Krogstad arrives to their house, and seeing him, Nora becomes very uncomfortable. Krogstad directly goes into the study room of Torvald. As soon as Neil Krogstad enters the study room of Torvald, Dr. Rank leaves the room and he comes and converses with Mrs. Linden and Nora. He also tells Nora that he has become physically very unwell. In the meantime, Torvald and Neil Krogstad comes out of the room. Krogstad leaves the house and Nora asks Torvald to get Mrs. Linden some job, and Torvald says that it is the fortunate moment for Mrs. Kristen Linde because a position is available in his office. Then the three of them, Torvald, Dr. Rank, and Mrs. Kristen Linde, exit, and when Nora is about to play with her children, Neil Krogstad surprises her by entering her room. Krogstad tells Nora that his husband, that is Torvald, wants to fire him from his job, and that is why he has come to ask a favor from Nora, and he wants Nora to tell her husband not to fire Krogstad from his position. But Nora refuses to do so. When she refuses to do so, Krogstad starts blackmailing her, saying that he would inform her husband Torvald about the loan that she had taken from him, that is Krogstad, by forging her father's signature. When she forged her father's signature, her father was already dead, and as this incident is unknown to Torvald, Krogstad blackmails her that he may inform him if she does not tell her husband not to fire Krogstad from his position. Saying this, Krogstad leaves Nora, and when Torvald returns, Nora pleads to him to keep Krogstad as his employee and not to fire him out. But Torvald does not pay heed to her requests, saying that Krogstad is an immoral person and he does not want any immoral person to work in his office. And as now he is the boss of Krogstad, he can easily fire him out from his position. He tells her that Krogstad is a liar and previously he had forged other people's signature to borrow money from the bank, and that is why he does not want to keep any such dishonest or liar in his office. And this is how the first act ends. In Act 2, we see Mrs. Kristen Linde comes back to Nora's house in order to help her in mending the dress that Nora intends to wear in the evening party, and she will dance wearing the dress. When Torvald comes back from bank, Nora keeps requesting him to keep Krogstad as his employee, not to fire him, but Torvald assures her that he will be fired obviously, and she has nothing to worry about because Krogstad cannot harm Nora. He also informs Nora that his place will be replaced by Mrs. Christine Linde. Saying this, he returns to his study. While Nora and Torvald were conversing, Mrs. Christine Linde was in another room with Nora's children. After Torvald went to his study, Dr. Rank arrives and he starts conversation with Nora. Nora asks him a favor, but Dr. Rank responds only by revealing that he has reached to the end of his life, because the disease that he has been suffering from has reached the final stage, and he may die anytime very soon. So, after saying this, Dr. Rank also tells Nora that he has been secretly in love with Nora. After listening to Dr. Rank, Nora does not ask the favor that she was going to ask. Rather, she takes it lightly, and she says that she has also loved him, but as only as a friend. Meanwhile, Neil Krogstad arrives to Nora's house. After seeing him, Nora requests Dr. Rank to go to Torvald's study and keep him engaged so that he does not see Neil Krogstad. After Dr. Rank went to Torvald's study, Nora tries to convince Krogstad that she has tried her best to convince Torvald to keep Krogstad as his employee, but however, she has failed in her attempt. Krogstad tells Nora that now, as he is already fired out, he does not care about the remaining balance of the loan that Nora had taken from the bank through the help of Neil Krogstad. Now, Krogstad tells Nora that he will inform Torvald about the crime that Nora had done in order to get the loan, so that he may blackmail him as well as Nora, at least to promote him, even if he does not keep him as an employee. Then Krogstad informs Nora that he has written a letter containing the all the facts, what Nora had done, how she had taken the loan by forging her father's signature, and all this in a he has written these things in a letter, and he has also put the letter in the letterbox of Torvald, and the letterbox is already locked, and the key of the letterbox always remains to Torvald. Saying this, Krogstad leaves Nora, and when Mrs. Kristen Linde again arrives to Nora's room, Nora shares her predicament, her difficult situation, to Kristen Linde. Mrs. Linde then promises Nora that she will try to help her, and Nora gives her the address of Neil Krogstad and tells her to go and convince Neil Krogstad, however, to solve the problem of this situation. However, she is very anxious about the fact that at any moment Torvald can go to his letterbox and get the letter of Krogstad. So when then again Torvald comes out of his study and tries to go to the letterbox in order to get his letters, Nora stops him, saying that she needs his help in order to practice the dance, the tarantella, which is the name of the dance that she will perform in the evening. Nora also requests Torvald not to go anywhere the night, not to check any mail that night, and keep engaging her and coaching her in the dance. She dances very badly and very wildly and behaved so childishly that Torvald had to yield to her request. At the dinner time, Mrs. Kristen Lindy returns from Krogstad house and tells Nora that Krogstad has already left the town. However, she has left a note there for Krogstad. After dinner, when everyone has left Nora, she talks to herself and thinks that there are only 31 hours left before the Tarantella, the dance is over, and she has only 31 hours to leave, because after the dance is over, Torvald will surely check the mailbox and he will get the letter. So she plans to suicide. That is why she says to herself that 31 hours to live. Here the second act ends. The final act, as it is a three-act play, begins with Mrs. Christine Linde. She is waiting in Nora's house for Neil Krogstad, because as we knew that Christine Linde had left a note in Krogstad's house where she told him to meet her in Nora's house. Krogstad came to Nora's house to meet Mrs. Christine Linde when Torvald and Nora were in the upstairs attending the program where Nora was to dance. Now, from their conversation, we come to know that they had been in a relationship before their marriage, and now she tells her the reasons why she had to marry the other guy who is now dead, because she had to support financially her ill mother and her two brothers who were not mature yet. But as both her mother and her husband are dead now, and her brothers are also mature to take care of themselves, she proposes Krogstad that she can be his wife and take care of his children. Krogstad accepts this proposal and is also at the same time happy. Now Mrs. Linde hears the music in the upstairs, stops, and anticipates that now Nora and Torvald will be back in the room. Now, as Krogstad is getting back his old love, he says that he will retain the letter and no more blackmail Nora about the loan. But Mrs. Linde tells Krogstad that after seeing the condition in Nora's household, she wants Torvald to know the truth, because if he does not know the truth, he will be in complete ignorance about Nora's struggling to save his life, and at the same time she thinks that in future he may learn it somehow, and in future it may create more problem than now. That is why she thinks it proper for Torvald to know the truth. Then she asks Krogstad to leave the house, and after Krogstad leaves the house, Torvald and Nora enters the room. Nora kind of being dragged by Torvald as she does not want to come back from the program. Mrs. Linde wears her coat and gets ready to report, as she is very happy and at the same time positive about the prospectus of her new life with Krogstad. Then, when Torvald goes to search for a candle, Mrs. Linde advises Nora to tell the truth about the letter and all the facts to Torvald, because that would not be kept secret for a long time. But Nora says to her that she won't do that. Giving her the advice, now Mrs. Linde says both Torvald and Nora good night and departs from their house. Once Mrs. Linde leaves the house, Torvald tries to adore Nora, but Nora wishes to be alone. At the time, Dr. Rank arrives and he says in a roundabout way to Nora that his impending death is confirmed, he is very near to death. And saying this, he leaves two calling cards in the letterbox of Torvald and departs. When Torvald goes to take all the mails from his letterbox, he discovers that someone had tried to open the lock by the use of a hair clip, and Nora says that must be the children. So after that, Torvald finds the two calling cards which Dr. Rank just left there with two black crosses on the front page. So Nora tells Torvald that this is a sign that Dr. Rank has now declined and he is going to die soon. Torvald expresses his grief, and then the inevitable moment comes when Torvald starts to read the letters. He goes to his study room to read the letters, and at that time Nora starts to contemplate what to do next. She is mentally preparing for her suicide. At this moment, Torvald storms out of the room and asks Nora about the letter. She says that everything that is written in the letter is true, and she had done this only to save Torvald's life because she loved her so much. Torvald, as he is enraged, says her to stop talking and rebukes her for doing all this forgery and calls her a hypocrite, accuses her father for whom she has inherited these qualities. He also says that Nora has put him in the mercy of Krogstad. Now he can blackmail him any moment and he will have to follow what Krogstad says. He chides more and more and tells her that she is not capable of rearing the children, and from now they have to pretend that they are happy but actually they are not, and says a lot of more things to her. Nora, however, does not say a word. She has become strangely very calm person. At this juncture, the maid arrives with a letter from Krogstad. For the letter is for Nora, but Torvald snatches the letter from the maid's hand and reads it aloud. The letter reads that Krogstad has withdrawn all his conditions and he will not further blackmail her for the loan. Reading this, Torvald becomes relieved and says Nora that the bad dream is now over and they can be again happy as before. But Nora decides to leave Torvald as she has seen the true face of Torvald and the reality of their marriage. She has realized that she has been a mere doll of Torvald all these 8 years since their marriage. She also says that she had been a doll to her father before her marriage. So she had never knew her real self. She had only played her role as a woman. And now she decides to leave Torvald forever. But Torvald reminds her of her duties as being a married woman. But Nora says that she has duties for herself before. Before she is his wife, she is a woman herself and she has duties to her own self. That is why she will leave Torvald forever. Nora also reminds Torvald about his own duties, that she thought when he will come to know about the truth, he will actually try to cover her shame, but actually he did not. So that is why she says that while she saved her life by doing all this forgery and these loans and other things, he did never try to understand her love for him. While Torvald says that no man can sacrifice his honor for his wife or woman. But in reply to that, Nora says that a lot of women already have done so. Saying all this, Nora returns her wedding ring to Torvald and the keys of the house and says that she will not contact her, neither should he. Then Torvald asks her whether they can be reunited again. Then Nora says that if only a miracle happens, then they can be reunited. But she also says that she does not anymore believe in miracles. Saying this, she leaves the house, slamming the door behind her. And this is how the play ends. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and share with others.